A public safety meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Hoggett, is it Fierce?
I believe so, yes.
Alderperson Wyland.
Here.
Alderperson Yakub.
Here. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the September 8th meeting?
I'd like to approve the minutes from the September 8th meeting.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to number 3. Consider request to conduct 2012 Hot Air Fair, February 3rd through the 5th, 2012, and Up and Away 5K run on February 4th. Ruth, you want to come up and speak right off the bat, or?
I'm Ruth Peterson. I'm with the Hudson Hot Air Fair. Do I have to give my address too?
Huh?
Do I have to give my address?
Yes, I believe you do.
735 11th Street South, here in Hudson. I'm asking for approval for Hudson Hot Air Fair for the normal things, the parking lot, the parade. I think you all have a packet on what we are looking at. Nothing changes. Possibly the parade time may change, but we don't know yet. We're working on that. And that's about all I can say. It's a Chinese New Year theme. It's going to be different, interesting, so it'll be fun. Hopefully we can fly.
I see you start at 7:03. Is that too any? So it might change to 7:02 or 7:01?
Or it might change to 6:46 or something.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. It's a good parade.
Well, we had to do that because the bank was open till 7, so we had to go after 7. So we just kind of did an odd time so people would put it in their brain that it's an odd time. So, oh, there's a parade at 7:03.
Got it. Thank you.
And if you change the parade, you said that the bank closes at 6 now, you discovered, so if you did it, it would just be a little bit earlier.
Yeah, maybe 15 minutes or so.
That just changed last week, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
So, do you have anything on this?
This event has not been an issue for us at all.
Okay, do we have any motion, or?
Move to approve.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I just request that the Hot Air Fair Committee pay for anything, the fire department, at least on the fire department. Last year, they called last minute and needed a fire apparatus there for every event. So if that becomes the case, you know, I need them to be aware that they're responsible for the firefighter stipend.
Okay.
What was the reason for that last year?
It was in the waiver last year, and we're not going to think about not putting it in the waiver. So when FAA sees it, as long as we have a response time from 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay.
And you know, EMS, fire, police,
You're close enough. I think they could
close
pull
enough
off
that-
5 to 7 minutes.
yeah.
I hope so.
And and I did talk to Jim and Eric and Marty also about the costs that we will incur with when we have the policemen, the fire, and the EMSers, because we are working on our budget also this year on what it's going to cost us for those extra things too.
Okay.
All right.
And we do appreciate everything the city has done for us over the years, and we like our working relationship, so we appreciate it. Thank you.
It's great. It's a good event.
Thank you.
Do-
Move to approve. I think I
Second?
did that already.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Approved. It'll be on the October 18th. There's a change in the meeting. Council meeting is going to be October 18th. It's a Tuesday due to quorum. So just in case you don't get that memo. So, okay. Yeah. All right. Number 4 is consider request by Youth Action Hudson and FIPS Advisory Panel to conduct a Halloween event in Haunted Trail in Lakefront Park on October 29th, 2011 from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. Jen, Liz, Jordan.
Maggie. We'd like the kids to do it.
Good. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Jordan Stewart, and I live at 612 Hickory Road.
My name is Maggie Weller, and I live at 747 Malibu Drive.
And we are members of the FIPS Student Advisory Panel, and we would like to host a Halloween event to be held on Saturday, October 29th in Northern Lakefront Park.
Okay. Marty.
Well, they approached the park board about this, and I think it's coming up on the park board. It was supposed to when they canceled that, but the parks director said he didn't have an issue with it.
Right.
And they want to run the haunted trail between Orange Street to bathhouse parking lot, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
The only issue I have with that is what kind of problems are we gonna cause for the neighbors in that specific area? And that's the reason I put on my recommendation approval, as long as the neighbors don't have an issue with it. So has anybody been able to talk with the neighbors yet?
We know that there's only one house, and it's
it's
a daycare, so it's right at the end. So we don't think a lot of people will be there because it is a daycare and it's open during the day.
No one will be there at night.
Yeah.
Right, so you're not going all the way down to Orange Street then? There's three houses on the other side of the old Nor Lake building.
Which is Hoggett, Hanson, and those homes.
No. It's on the south side of Orange Street. It would
Oh,
be Crusoe. I can't think of the other two
Okay.
residents right there.
And so, I mean, that's something where it can be, we can ask for their permission. I mean, we can see if they're comfortable with it. I don't think they'll have a problem. I mean, this goes till 10 o'clock at night.
Well, it's on a Saturday night. We're not sure if they have young kids. You know, if you have a lot of yelling and screaming going on,
Yeah.
you know, it's a lot of noise in that area.
I would move for approval and that we just have them contact those three neighbors, and if any issues come up, we don't have one more meeting, do
No, we don't have
We
another
have the October
meeting.
18th
Council meeting.
council meeting, so if any issues do arise, we cover them at the October 18th meeting.
There is a question I have. I'll second it just so we can have discussion. You asked for a waiver of the $129 fee for the band shell. Are you going to give a security deposit for the band shell, or?
What is the security?
I believe it's $400, a security deposit for the band shell.
I'm not
But I'm not sure how it works for nonprofits if the price changed. That's a park
Mhm.
board question, do you know?
They, that, obviously, we didn't have a meeting to bring it up, but the park board felt they supported this and actually passed it on without meeting to agree with the waiver of the fee.
Okay, that's the fee. My concern is security deposit, because if there's damage done, and the security deposit, if there's no damage done, it comes back. So I would like to assure that a security deposit will at least be placed for the band shell, just in case there's damage, or any.
I'll amend my motion to say that the $129 fee is waived for the nonprofit, but we do require a security deposit to be refunded when there is no damage, obviously.
Okay, and then can we, are we going to, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Are we going to have them talk to the neighbors and in that area, and if, we're going to talk to Marty and let him know that it's.
Yes, well, that's what I said earlier, is that to have them contact the three neighbors, tell them what's going on, invite them to the party. And,
Invite them to the party, there you go.
well, that's what you do with your neighbors, you invite
Right.
them to the party.
We can
Invite-
send a letter to each of the
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a
families,
nice,
and we can just ask for their permission.
that would be a nice touch.
Yeah, and then if you
And
could
then
just
invite-
circle back with the chief if you have any
Yeah,
issues.
hopefully
come up.
before the October 18th council meeting,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, if you could let me know when you make contact, that way I can notify the council that night then.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be perfect. So I seconded that motion with the, all in favor?
Aye,
Aye. Great, so,
thank you. Have fun.
okay, so we have consider request to conduct Susan Capone 1 mile and 5K benefit walk on October 22nd, beginning and ending at Hudson Middle School. There's no one here to speak on this, but Marty, do you
Yeah,
have?
Mandy Rowan had sent this information along. She said she couldn't be here. If you take a look at the route and the event, they're going to be on the walking paths or on the sidewalk. The only time that they wouldn't be is when they're crossing the street in crosswalks. So there is not going to be any issue with them being out in traffic lanes. It's not a run, it's a benefit walk. So I don't see any issue with this whatsoever.
Yeah, and I don't either. It's right across the crosswalks that are already there.
Has this been done before?
This type of event has been done before, not for this
Susan
individual,
Capone,
but we've had this type of race route in the past.
This same route?
Yeah.
Similar route?
Similar
Okay.
route.
And are they gonna have, I thought I read this, but I read a lot of stuff. Are they gonna hire part-time police or something to watch those intersections, or are they just gonna walk when it's clear, or
I think that
at their own risk?
they're just gonna walk at their own risk. They haven't asked for anybody to be at those intersections. The difference between obviously a walk is they have to obey all the traffic rules versus a run where, you know, the runners might not be paying full attention, so.
Right, okay.
Move for approval.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Next. Consider request to conduct Hudson tour of homes.
Andrea Jorgensen asked to have this put on the Council of Public Safety agenda, just to let us know that they're having their annual Christmas tour of homes. They haven't come up with the 5 homes yet, but the 6th one obviously is gonna be the Octagon House. They'll have buses, they'll be picking up and going through the residential area. This has been going on for, I think, longer than I've been here. And I've been here over 25 years, so
Yeah.
there has never been an issue with it.
Move for approval.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the, number 7, evaluate stop sign on Crestview Drive in Hagen / 11th Street. I asked for this to be put on the agenda. I received a phone call from a constituent over in District 3 who requested to have this placed on a public safety agenda. He had received a ticket at this intersection for failing to stop at the stop sign. And when he went to our city attorney, they overturned, they expunged whatever, you know, the ticket and said that it was a conflicting traffic device. So,
Conflicting.
yes, because there was a green light and there was a stop sign. And I think the logic is that,
They're 2 different streets.
no, they're not. It's on Crestview, period.
The slip lane is a separate street.
No, it's not. How is it a separate street? It's Crestview Drive.
You've left Crestview Drive and you're in the turn lane. It's a turn street. I mean, but go ahead. There's 2 different
It's
devices.
the same street, right?
Well, it's still part of Crestview until
Yeah.
you get onto Hagan Street.
Yeah, you're not on Hagen
It's,
Street yet.
you've left, well, anyhow, you're in the turn lane.
I'm
Right.
not aware that the city attorney's done anything with this.
Yes, Max Newhouse, I spoke with him. He did indeed overturn that ticket. And then when I researched it more, I found there was 2 tickets overturned on that with the same rationale. Now, those are just people who pleaded not guilty. Most people probably pled guilty because
There's
they
a
didn't stop at a stop
and
sign.
you stop at a stop sign. That's what the law says.
Well, that's what the law says, but there is confusion. There is many people who got warnings, and, I mean, I don't know how well you researched this, but I've looked at this pretty in-depth, and there's a lot of warnings, and
So
and-
would his rationale be if the light is red on Crestview Drive and there's no sign there at all, and those people just go around it, then
They would be in violation.
they would be in
of the red
violation
light.
of the red light then instead of the stop sign.
no, but when there was a red light, if there was a red light to the right instead of a stop sign, people, I think, I don't know his rationale, I can't speak for him, but I can tell you my rationale would be, if I see a red light, I stop, obviously, if it's to the right, when there's light. When I see a yield sign, I yield. When I see a stop sign, yeah, I'm gonna stop. However, when that stop sign first came up, I was like, do I stop? But if the light's green, can I keep going? I don't know,
But
because we have a stop sign right down there where you don't stop when you turn right, right? I mean, it's not,
But if we put a yield sign there, it would be the same confusion. If the light was red and somebody went through the yield sign,
They'd get ticketed.
You-
Well, they should.
well, that would be my rationale.
why would you get ticketed if you go through the yield sign if it's a
Because
the
separate
light
turn
is
lane?
red.
But it's a
I
separate
mean,
lane,
we're-
you just said.
And we're just following the other logic.
Oh, I'm-
We're trying-
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I'm
going
saying.
after your logic. If it's a
Right,
separate
because-
lane,
because this-
you're not
because
supposed to get the
there's a-
ticket.
There's a sign underneath it that says, this lane obey this sign.
Right,
Yes, it is.
right, I understand that. There's a
Maybe
sign
he
before
doesn't.
it, but not everybody sees that sign or what have you. I'm just saying
Should we
the
go-
rationale behind it,
Right.
why it was overturned, and I'm just looking at the numbers, and there was, you know, the reason for it to go up was a concern of accidents. It hasn't changed that. There's essentially been 2 before and 2 after of people turning right. 2 before the stop sign was up and 2 after of people, when someone was turning right where an accident was, according to what I've researched. No, I don't think they were all rear ends.
Okay,
And then-
can we go back to, I think this is before you were on council, maybe it wasn't. There was 2 reasons that we looked at that intersection.
It was before I was on council, yes.
Well, one of the problems was people coming across the intersection, turning left.
Mhm.
What was happening was, we got a lot of complaints because there's so many near misses. Those people turning left, the people coming up to the yield sign weren't paying any attention and blowing right out in front of them, because they weren't actually stopping long enough to look at both streams of traffic.
Right.
And so we ended up with, and we said, well, how do we solve that problem? Well, we put flags up there, and we tried to do some other things with the yield sign. Then we looked at the crash data, and there were so many rear-end collisions or almost rear-end collisions or that type of thing, that we said, you know what? Just stop them. I mean, if we stop, if the expectation when you hit that slip lane is that you're gonna stop, then I know that when I would come up to that yield sign, I'd be afraid to stop, or if I needed to, because I assume the people behind me, and I saw this, were looking past me. They weren't looking at me.
Sure.
So they,
But the people behind you, if they follow traffic laws, should also learn that yield means you stop if traffic is coming. So, I mean, it's the same logic. If the logic that you're using, I don't disagree with your logic. What I'm saying is that there were 79 tickets issued, 51 of them were warnings.
yeah,
28 were actually tickets. 2 of them, I don't know how many, I don't have record of how many people pled not guilty, but the 2 that did got it overturned. If there's 79 tickets for people turning right because they're not fully stopping at the stop sign, then we're not stopping at the stop sign anyways.
We don't
Those
stop
are just the people who got caught.
they don't stop, yeah, right, but if you set a unit in front of almost any stop sign in this city,
Yep.
you get exactly the same results.
You're correct, but I'm not, but
And so
that's
this
totally,
isn't a
that's
unique intersection.
No, it's not, but it kind of is. How many intersections are in the city where there's a stop sign before you turn right at a street light?
No, that's the only one.
Yeah, so it's a unique intersection in my
So
opinion.
one of the options we talked about was put a barricade up there. Quit using that lane. People are confused. If they go to yield, they're confused. They go to stop, they're
So what do you
confused.
do, not turn right there?
Make them go up to the stop sign. And it's more convenient to take the slip lane, but if people are really that confused about what a stop sign means, maybe we should just stop them from using it.
So then how do they turn right?
They go to the light,
Oh.
and when the light turns green, they turn right.
Wow.
But I think that
that'll
the
be a-
issue is that as they come up to the light, there's enough people either going straight ahead or turning left that a right turn lane is still valid.
Sure.
Now, we can't afford to completely rebuild the intersection to have a real right turn lane with a right turn arrow. This was probably the cheap approach instead of putting a right turn arrow. That would be my guess. I don't know when it was put in.
Well, what I'd like to do, in light of all this information that I've been gathering, is, and since John's not here, and I'm pretty certain you and I are gonna be in disagreement on this, is to possibly I would like to make a motion to pass it on to full council with no recommendations, so we can have discussion on it at a full council.
I would rather see it, well, you just made the motion. I'd rather see us table it and have the conversation with John and take an opinion to council.
Well, I made a motion, so I'm not changing my motion, because I think either way, it's gonna go to council eventually, so anyways, if there's a second, then I'll keep talking.
I don't think so.
We're gonna be at a stalemate.
We are. I move that we table this to the next meeting and have the come up with an opinion from this body before taking it to council.
Do we know if John can make the next meeting?
Well, if you wait until the next public safety meeting, then I can talk with the city attorney and find out exactly why he felt the necessary to.
That's what I did. I talked
That
to
would be
him.
nice.
But I'm not sure what kind of rationale he's using for that, because the state has several of those type of slip lanes in a lot of other places around. Other cities have got those slip lanes. I see them all the time.
And many of them use stop signs.
Right. I believe the one out at Highway 12. 12 and UU has got a stop
Yep.
sign slip lane.
Eastbound.
So I'm trying to figure out the rationale for not, having those
And that's
tickets.
marked, you must stop.
yeah, you must stop at the stop sign. Obey this sign at
Right.
this location.
What about the idea of having no, that's not gonna work. To try and make that stop sign more visible. But it's not gonna work. Finally, I concede, I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye. All right, EMS and Fire Department, Police Department updates. We'll start with EMS. Here.
Just a couple things. Our new quick response vehicle should be in service by Monday. It's being built this week, and we turned in the other one. traded that in. I also want to thank Habitat for Humanity. They donated their time in building our dive trailer, renovating our dive trailer, and they built cabinets and added power to it, lights, added the generator on there. And the idea being is now we can take the dive equipment that's stored not in the trailer, put it in the trailer. It'll potentially, save us about a 20-minute response time because everything will be in the trailer ready to go. All we got to do is just hook up the trailer. So big thanks to them. So that's all I have tonight.
Yep.
I put burn ban in effect today.
I saw that.
Extremely dry conditions means you can use your charcoal grill, but nothing more than that. And it'll be in effect until Mother Nature helps us out here a little bit.
Are you putting that on the city website?
It got sent to City Hall. Now, I don't know. Jan wasn't in today.
Okay. It'd be good, maybe if you follow up to get
Yeah.
that on the city website.
And let's see. October's Fire Prevention Month. We're in the schools now doing public education, fire prevention education for the elementary grades right now. And it's pretty booked up through the month of October with events. And we did apply for a grant for the fire sprinkler system for the public safety building. We probably won't know for several months how that's going to come out.
It's the irony, right? You need a sprinkler system in the fire department
Yeah.
building. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, Marty, police department update.
Real quick, this Saturday, October 8th, is the Frost Your Nuts Run from North Hudson. They will be going through Hudson. The route goes through downtown. Now, I was at the village board meeting because they originally had planned to go down 2nd Street to St. Croix and then out St. Croix Street and out Bear Road. And I had a problem with it going through all that residential area with that many motorcycles. So I did talk to them. We're in negotiations, talking with the village board. They're going to try to work with the owner of the Malibu Inn who has these events, and hopefully in the next couple of years that the events will end up going north when all the motorcycles leave. We're not saying that the motorcycles can't come to the city of Hudson. Come on and have a good time. Everybody meets downtown. Our biggest concern and most of the complaints that we've been getting from citizens has been when the motorcycles all leave in big groups and they come through the downtown area and just make a lot of racket.
Yeah.
So North Hudson the village board was very sympathetic to that. And so was Sandy, the owner of the Malibu Inn, so she was able to help us out. But because the plans and events had already been approved for this year, for the most part, we just had the minor authorization, just to go through downtown Hudson, get them onto the interstate, and then they're going to head south. So just want to let everybody know if they get a lot of motorcycles, that's what's going on. So
Good.
otherwise, that's it.
All right, we'll go to police department budget. Now, I was hoping to get a little more detail with it tonight, but tomorrow morning, you're meeting with finance, so
7 o'clock in the morning.
I guess brief summary as to where you're at, which is, is probably to.
Well, real quick, when we were first given the budget, we were told to make sure that we maintained our levels of 2011 levels for 2012. But that was also included a 2% increase overall, a 0.1% increase in retirement, and then a 20% increase in health insurance. We have since been told it's now a 32 or 33% increase in health insurance, which is another almost $68,000 I would have to find in my budget. And under normal circumstances, if I was fully budgeted, if I had all my positions, including my lieutenant position filled, I would have had to come up with, before we found out the extra health insurance cost, just under $120,000. So with this other health insurance increase, to maintain a full department budget, I would probably have to have found about $180,000 or more, probably closer to $190,000 I would have to find within my budget to get down to that level. And just so everybody understands, my budget for last year was $2.8 million. Of that $2.8 million, only $187,000 were just for the operation of the department.
Right. Because the rest goes to
Otherwise,
salaries.
with salaries and costs. And the last year, we cut $32,000 out of my budget, so we're pretty lean as it is. So for us to get down to some of these numbers, we're talking about cutting personnel costs. Now, with the retirement of Lieutenant Larson next year, that's $127,000 that's out of my budget. That if the council decides not to fund it, well, that's $127,000 I'm not gonna have to fund. I did provide the council 4 options on the budget. One was filling the lieutenant's position, going, not cutting me at all, which means they'd have to find approximately $190,000. The other option was to leave his position vacant and then just run it as we're running it right now. I'll have my 4 sergeants and myself running the structure of the department. The third option would be to make a lieutenant's position from one of the existing sergeant's position. Now that was the option that if I have to stay at the levels I'm at now would be the one I'm gonna ask for the simple fact I have a second in command that can oversee the operations of the department day to day so that I can still maintain the job duties that I've been doing. Also, if I'm out of town, then we've got somebody else that can take over for me. The third option that I presented would be something for future consideration should the city council decide to continue to fund the department and make it bigger, would be make 2 lieutenants positions. One would be for administration, the other one would be for patrol. That way you would have one that would oversee both parts of the department. It's still allowing me to free up, and which allow the patrol sergeants and the detective sergeants to do their job, which is supervising the personnel and either being out on patrol or investigating cases. The problem with each one, as you go through it, you had to find more and more money to cut out of the budget. With the option with this Paul being gone, before we found out about the increase, we were about $3,000 under the budget for 2011. If we go to option 2, where we make a lieutenant's position out of one of the sergeants, I had to find approximately $1,200 in cuts to make that position happen. Before we found out that we needed this extra $68,000. I was able to find that money, that's not an issue. To find the 2 lieutenant's positions, I would have to come up with about $20,000 in cuts. I can do it, but it would be extremely tough. We'd be cutting training, we'd be cutting uniform accounts, safety equipment accounts, activity supplies. We'd have to cut way down as much as we can to try to come down to those levels. Now, if we stay where we're at right now, if not filling the lieutenant's position, everything stays status quo with my 4 sergeants and myself in the command structure, and I have to come up with $68,000 worth of cuts. The only way I'm going to be able to do that is I'm going to have to cut personnel, plain and simple. Either I'll have to cut my new patrol officer that is hired, or I'm going to have to cut one of my clerical staff.
Have you considered what I discussed with you about cutting unnecessary programs like Police Academy and Explorers?
We can cut those programs. The Police Academy, we can get rid of that one. But that's basically, a lot of that would just be a small part of overtime. I know I sent you that information on our overtime sheet. If you take a look at my overtime, if you put all my overtime accounts together, I have $76,000 in overtime. If you divide that up by the 21 officers that are eligible to get that overtime, it comes out to just over $3,600 per officer for overtime. If you divide that by their hourly rate at time and a half, the sergeants alone would only have to go about 79 hours before they max out their $3,600. So doesn't take that much to burn up that overtime money. What saves us is that those officers, instead of taking it as pay, as overtime, they take it as comp time. So that money that when they go off on comp time doesn't come out of that account. So that's what saves us from year to year.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll be interesting discussion tomorrow.
It should be.
Let's see, if 2 million, I was thinking about that 2% increase must be a big chunk this year.
Well, if we just had the 2% increase with, like I said, with the 20% increase in health insurance, And then the mandatory 0.1% increase in retirement, I said was $120,000 if I was just to maintain where I was at. So I'm not sure exactly what 2% in the salary increase would be for everybody. Wait a minute, maybe I do have that number. I think Devin put that together for me. You have to excuse me, I've got enough.
And we don't have any flexibility there, because that's just contractual, there's no, that's a given, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, if we did not have the 2% overall, and this was without Paul's position, I'd be 16,000 under. But that was before we found out about the $68,000.
So if no one took a raise, you'd be $16,000 under, essentially.
Well, that was before we found out that health insurance went up 32% versus 20%.
Okay, well, we'll chew on that. Siren update.
We have an update, yes.
We have an update. To bring the other two sirens up to speed with our two current main ones in the city, which are radio controlled and radio activated. The technician came back out and stated that the one above the fire department would be about $4,000 to get set up to be controlled just like the other sirens to be activated from the dispatch center. If we opted to take the siren that is behind the high school and that one is phone operated, it would be additional, $3,000. So roughly $6,500 to go both sirens. Next step would be for the committee is, one, do they want to do that? Two, is it necessary? We would have to have someone come out and find out where our coverage isn't needed based on decibels and their studies that they can do. And so that's the only thing. So that's where we're at. So it'll be, that's what it would take to get that siren going.
Remember when we were at the police academy, we went up to the dispatch center?
Mm-hmm.
And at the dispatch center, when they say set off all the alarms, they hit one button. And then they say, oh, if it's for the city of Hudson, they have to hit one other button to set off the one behind the high school. I don't have a problem with that. They can, that's, so I don't see the extra cost in automating that when I don't see any need. They set it off and they set it off regularly and they haven't really missed one. So I don't see that big a risk there. But the reason I brought this up originally was I was downtown and I don't know, you can't hear it right downtown. You can certainly hear this one when it's set off.
Do you want to put it on next month's agenda so with the information, we can write it up in the issue sheet and so we can delve into that more and look into it?
Yeah, I move that we have Eric write up an issue sheet with the details of the costs and the recommendations for next month's meeting.
Okay, a second. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Police Department technology update. Do we have one?
The reason I asked to have this added to the agenda was to give an opportunity to bring forward any technology issues that can then get moved on to the council or can get acted on. I haven't been aware of anything other than what we've discussed about over the last month. So I think unless you have something new to bring to the table, I think this is just to keep it on for next month again.
Okay, we'll keep it on for next month. Other items for future agenda, I'd like to discuss meeting times in next month's agenda. I think we could, to be fair to Lee's situation, let's set the time for next month to 6 p.m. And then I'd like to also review the stop sign on 4th and Vine. I got another complaint. I get lots of complaints on stop signs.
That one has been,
That one's been before the council about 6 times.
I know. Well, we're going to review it again. I think they see new blood and they like to
No,
pry
yeah.
out new blood. So we'll just look at
Can't
it.
discuss it, okay.
Anything else? Move for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.